British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
From the Broadcast Center at BCIT's Burnaby Campus, this is All Talk Radio. You're listening to 1680 The Crow.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Emily Deneen, and here's your news update to 3. Vancouver isn't the only city in the Lower Mainland planning to hold an outdoor viewing party this upcoming Sunday. Isabella Calisi talks to New Westminster City Councillor Daniel Fontaine on why he proposed the upcoming event.
City Councillor Daniel Fontaine says that logistics are being worked out by staff as we speak for the upcoming game day. So far, the party is being planned for Hayek Square in connection to the Anvil Center in the downtown area. Fontaine says that he proposed the event because he felt the people of New West deserve to watch the game closer to home.
Really wanted to give the people of New Westminster an opportunity to actually cheer on and support their Canucks in our own community without them having to take off and head over to Vancouver or Surrey. We talk a lot about in the city of New Westminster it being a 15-minute city where everything is kind of 15 minutes away from where we live. And it kind of struck me that having to go to Vancouver or other cities to celebrate and cheer on the Canucks, I thought it just wasn't right. So
Fontaine says that the RCMP will be prepared for any rebel-rousers that may come, but he likes to focus on the 99% of people that are just there to cheer on the home team. Isabella Calisi, BCIT's The Crow.
We are now joined by Isabella. So, Isabella, how will the parties affect local businesses?
Well, you see, Emily, in that downtown area by Columbia Street in New West, there's actually been a really big sewer project going on for the last 2 years. As a result, there hasn't really been too much business, and the local businesses have been struggling. So they're hoping, or at least Daniel Fontaine is hoping, that the viewing party will bring a lot of people to that downtown core and spend lots of money.
Yeah. And then with the Canucks' history of viewing parties going awry, are there any concerns?
There's no concerns at the moment. The event is being planned as a family-friendly one, so there's not going to be any alcohol in the area. The RCMP are being coordinated so that they can watch over the crowds and make sure that if there are any rebel-rousers, that they're not going to do anything or they're going to be dealt with. So they're not really hoping for anything bad and hoping for a fun little event.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Isabella.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Members of the Salish First Nations arranged a protest for the TMX tar sands pipeline. They say this pipeline increases the risk of a devastating spill which would affect wildlife. The Salish First Nations also say to worry about the people and planet before pipelines and profit. Expansion construction is underway on the Surrey-Langley SkyTrain. Our reporter Keenan Tergaskis found out how this construction will affect local businesses.
Metro Vancouver's Expo line is expanding into the Surrey and Langley area. Some businesses have said they will be operating through the back door during construction. Anita Huberman, CEO of the Surrey Board of Trade, says these hiccups are expected and TransLink is working with businesses who may be impacted.
I know that TransLink, the City of Surrey, and other project partners, as well as other business organizations such as the Fleetwood Business Improvement Association, have been working with those small businesses especially that are going to feel quite impacted by those types of instructions.
Huberman says the outcome of this expansion outweighs any negative factors brought on during construction. Keenan Tergaskis, BCIT's The Crow.
BCIT's mechatronics and robotics students are having their Project Expo today. As reporter Jacob Fraser explains, each unique project will be shown off to industry professionals.
Students in BCIT's mechatronics and robotics program are showing off their capstone projects today. The students have been working in groups for 4 months ahead of completing these projects. Mechatronics and robotics student Liam Johansson tells us about his dog treat weight grading machine.
My project is a dog treat weight grading machine. It takes dog treats, separates them depending on their weight, and it does that into 4 different categories. Open range dog treats came to us with a proposal to do a project with them as our capstone, and we took it on, and we're really happy that we did.
Johansson says the machine has other applications as well. He says the machine can weigh anything that fits on its conveyor belt and can be used anywhere in a factory setting. Johansson hopes that this can improve the quality and productivity of any company that uses it. Jacob Fraser, BCIT's The Crow.
Public service unions are launching legal challenges over new rules that federal employees need to come into work. Federal employees now need to work from the office at least 3 days a week. Many unions are saying this will cause a summer discontent due to this policy. Chris Aylward, the president of the Public Service Alliance of Canada, explains who supports what.
And they will be asking questions in the House of Commons to the Trudeau Liberal government to get answers from the government as to why this decision was made without any consultation with any of the unions and misleading the unions in telling us that any changes would involve consultation.
Many British Columbian drivers will get a rebate of $110. This will come on their vehicle insurance bills during summer. Premier David Eby explains how this puts ICBC in a solid position.
This is the fourth rebate that ICBC has been able to issue since our reforms, and it puts $400 million back in the pockets of drivers across British Columbia. This is good news for millions of people who could use a break. It's one less thing to worry about for British Columbians.
There's a trial in Winnipeg for a man who's been accused of first-degree murder. The Crown alleges that the man targeted homeless Indigenous women. Steve Lambert of the Canadian Press explains what's going on in the trial.
The Crown alleges Jeremy Skibicki acted out of hatred, killed the women, and committed vile acts on their bodies. One woman's remains were found in a city landfill. The remains of two others are believed to be in a different landfill but have not been found. Skibicki's lawyers say he admits to the killings but should be found not criminally responsible because of a mental disorder. Experts are expected to testify on that issue in the coming days. Steve Lambert, The Canadian Press, Winnipeg.
Someone was arrested today for the shooting at Canadian rapper Drake's mansion. The person who was arrested was apprehended under the Mental Health Act. Drake's team cooperated with investigators to help give evidence to find out who the shooter was. Fans believed it could have been someone from rapper Kendrick Lamar's team. Lamar and Drake have recently been having a back-and-forth rap battle, which escalated before the shooting. Toronto police were called to Drake's mansion Wednesday morning after someone tried to get onto the property again. The Biden administration is planning on proposing a new rule for immigration. This is meant to speed up the process of migrants being able to live in the United States. Border security will be more strict starting this year as requested by the Biden administration. The proposal will be released Thursday morning and is meant to impact immigrants with criminal records. Many immigration advocates have questioned changes to this process, stating that it's fine as it is. An Idaho prosecutor has decided not to bring hate crime charges against the 18-year-old who shouted racial slurs. They were shouted at members of the Utah women's basketball team while they were playing in Idaho. The deputy attorney for the city of Coeur d'Alene in Idaho has called the situation incredibly offensive. He also added that there was no evidence suggesting a physical threat to the player. Alabama has recently scheduled their second execution using nitrogen gas. There has been a date set in September for the execution of Alan Eugene Miller. He was convicted of killing 3 people in 1999. Miller is fighting having nitrogen gas used on him, as he has an ongoing lawsuit to change the method that he will be put to death. A Michigan man was accused of making explosives to target a satanic temple in Salem. Luke Terpstra was charged with 2 crimes, which include transporting an explosive and possession of an explosive. Terpstra will be seen at court next week to further discuss these charges. The temple explains that they have not had many crimes against them, and they wish for that to continue. There has been a pause in a shipment of bombs to Israel by the Biden administration. The Biden administration has concerns about the decision to launch an attack on Rafah. Lloyd Austin, the U.S. Defense Secretary, explains why this has been delayed.
It's important to make sure that we're following the policies, and so we've been having conversations about this, and so we think it's imperative that we do more to protect civilians in the battle space, and that's the real issue.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
is sports on 1680 The Crow.
Good afternoon, I'm Sophie Hansen, and here are your sports updates to 3:15. The Vancouver Canucks are back in town to host the Edmonton Oilers for Game 1 of their second series in the NHL playoffs. The Canucks knocked out Nashville after 6 games, paving the way to the All-Canadian clash against the Oilers, who put away the LA Kings in 5 games. Tonight's game will mark the first playoff game between Edmonton and Vancouver since 1992, when the Oilers bested the Canucks in a 6-game set. Canucks defenseman Nikita Zadorov talks about the significance of playing in a hockey-hungry city.
Well, nothing beats the playoff atmosphere in Canada, I would say. I had tears during the national anthem. I mean, Canada is definitely different. Look at how much media, the city is living into it. People, everybody have flags on their cars.
The Oilers winger Connor Brown says he's excited to play yet another playoffs game.
Yeah, really excited. It's been since my time in Toronto, getting back in the playoffs, and obviously disappointing sitting out that first round, but watching the way the boys played, inspiring. So excited to get out there and do my thing.
The Vancouver Canucks have swept the regular season series 4-0. The puck drop is tonight at 7 o'clock. Good news for fans, though. Vancouver Mayor Ken Sim says the city will host a viewing party at Oak Meadows Park starting this Sunday for the Canucks Round 2 playoff series. The park can hold around 2,000 people and is located in a South Gambie neighborhood just 15 minutes away from Rogers Arena. Sim says there will be a cautious approach to potential Stanley Cup celebrations. Ian Testenson, the CEO of the BC Restaurant and Food Service Association, says viewing parties for away games offer a more controlled environment rather than inviting large crowds downtown as we saw in 2011.
Big events like FIFA and big concerts and stuff, we're able to do that really well. I just worry that if we just kind of recklessly sort of go, let's throw some TVs up and invite 20,000 people on Georgia Street again. I just predict there's going to be trouble somewhere.
As the playoffs continue, Sim says the city would also look at the Pacific National Exhibition as a venue to allow up to 6,000 fans to gather. The plans have been implemented to take the pressure off of the downtown core and surrounding businesses. Kim says this whole city wants to celebrate the team's success this year, and plenty of thought has been put into this year's planning. In more hockey news, the Abbotsford Canucks are hosting Game 3 today with a special celebration to honor the 30th anniversary of the 1994 team that went on to the Stanley Cup Finals. The game will begin with a ceremonial puck drop that features past team players Kirk McLean, Dave Babich, and Jeff Courtnall. Also, the first 1,000 people will receive a free Abbotsford Canucks hat. The puck drop is also at 7 o'clock. Now to the Diamonds, the Blue Jays snapped the Phillies' 11-game home winning streak today after defeating them 5-3. Chris Bassett led the way, pitching 6 1/3 innings, allowing only 2 home runs and striking out 6. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. went to 3 for 5 with an RBI. The Blue Jays return home Friday to play against the Minnesota Twins. On to the tennis courts now. Canada's Denis Shapovalov was ousted in the first round of the Italian Open this morning, falling to Italy's Luciano Didari. The Ontario native struggled with serving 14 double faults and landing only 55% of his first serves. Didari is set to face Mariano Navone of Argentina on Friday. In other sports news, the New York Knicks will have to look to take 2-0 series lead tonight over the Indiana Pacers. Fans will be packing Madison Square Garden in hopes of witnessing some history. Knicks point guards Jalen Brunson will also be looking to pass Michael Jordan and Bernard King for consecutive 40-point games in the playoffs. The tip-off is today at 5 o'clock. The Paris Olympics are only a few months away, and the excitement is building in the southern French city of Marseille. The torch was lit in Greece last month before being sent to France, and French Olympic swimmer Florent Manodou actually became the first Olympic torch carrier, making yet another milestone in the lead-up to the Summer Games in Paris. The Olympic organizers have promised a fantastic celebration in the city. That has been your sports updates to 3:15. I'm Sophie Hansen, and you're listening to BCIT's The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.